My name is Adam Murray. I am lead product manager here at Builder, and I'm really excited to be on this live stream with you today, talking about the current challenges that you face in day to day working with design teams and working with developers and getting things shipped to your customers. We're going to talk about how AI now empowers you as designers to iterate and polish features without waiting on dev cycles. Again, those handoff cycles are incredibly important as they go from product to design through to engineering. We're going to talk about practical ways to ensure that what you design actually makes it all the way through to production. And then we're going to take your questions and we'll wrap up. With that, let me go ahead and hand it off to one of our product designers, Sajal.
Thank you, Adam. I hope you can hear me. Yeah. Okay. Hey, everyone. I am Sajal, a product designer at Builder.io, and I'm super excited to share how design team at Builder uses AI to ship faster and get the designs to production as close as to design. All right. Before I do that, I do want to share some of the things that each designers face across when we get designs to productions. And I am going to call them the hidden frictions, which are not seen of a designer's life. So let me walk you through what these frictions are that takes away our time and also cause shipping delays. So the first and the biggest friction today that I've seen when I talk to my designer friends or the people in my design network is what we want is we want to get our designs to behave and work the way we want, we imagine in Figma, and it should work the same way in production. So I've worked across multiple companies, and this has been a challenge is that the design and develop version drift apart, and then you go into the cycle of doing a QA and then telling developers, working with them to fix it, to make it closer to how you want it to behave. And mostly I thought it's a small problem, but when I looked at the data, that was a really interesting one. So we saw, according to research, it's 83% of designers have said that they face this divergence at least sometimes. And 1 out of 4 say it happens on every project. And that's a huge number. And 2 out of 3 design teams say that they waste up to 50% of their work time solving these design delivery inefficiencies, which just causes delay in shipping the experience to our end users. And this is majorly happening between design to code bottlenecks. Another problems we see in daily life is designing with real data and constraints. Every designer would say we should design with real data because when we use lorem ipsum, our designs break when real data comes in. So most of the designers have overcome this by simulating real looking data in our design tools. But again, we are simulating data, or we would wait for the product team or data team to come up and give us data with which we can use and use them in our mockups to simulate whether it will work or the designs will scale with the data. When you look at how it's impacting, like 90% of launches get delayed, which causes 5 times more to fix at the end of when we are close to shipping. Third one is the prototyping and feedback. Today, prototyping is essential to collect feedback, to share how designs should behave in production. So it helps us align and also in the handoff process. But when you look at it, creating a prototype is meaning you have to manage multiple screens, connect these into these line drawings, I would say. And the problem comes in when your app adds complexity to it. Let's say you have a personalized workflow for individual users or individual roles. So you have to maintain prototypes for each of them. And then once you ship it to, let's say, to stakeholders, you want to make confident that all the things are linked correctly. So the more complexity increases, the more time it takes to collect feedback and align everyone on the team. And the last one that we often see is design system maintenance. Design systems were supposed to be solving the problem of QA. IBM introduced Carbon and that they cut down QA time by 75%. But when you look at it, only a few handful of companies have robust design systems in place. Most teams, what that means is most teams still fight the gap between the updated design components and what's deployed in the code. This actually can add further divergence from design when it goes live in the production, because what we use could be different sometimes from what is deployed in the production. And then there are also cases when we design, we also look at the different screens where this pattern is being used, where the pattern can be extrapolated to, and collecting those manually is also a big challenge. And then you have to collect all those, try out your new component updates, and then test out in different screens. And then, although even this can be done in and it goes to production, it takes a lot of time because you have to make sure that updated version works everywhere. So if you look at it, most of the challenges aren't because it's how we design, or it's mostly because we are limited to work in isolated or static systems, whereas the actual product lives in dynamic code. And until now, we didn't have the means to work with code, which is where AI comes into picture. And it helps you to work with code and solve some of these inefficiencies.
Hey, can I jump
So,
in, Sajal, real quick?
yeah,
Just to talk about, too, from a product and application development standpoint, as the market moves more and more to AI driven and moves more and more to a little bit of a faster pace, I'm sure everyone on this call has probably seen that. More and more, what matters is the experience. More and more, what matters is those kind of fine touches. Users are moving out of the space of, is it just functional? Because just functional now, with a lot of advances that we're moving towards, we can get just functional pretty quickly. So those design touches the designers are adding are extra important. And so closing that gap between developing in one or designing in one product, moving through multiple teams, getting separated from that original design and ending up in a state in production that may or may not match, and usually doesn't match, or if it does, it takes a while. Like that feedback flow takes a long time. That's going to be vital in continuing to bring more users to your product, and continuing to delight your customers with what you're doing, and to keep those customers happy. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
thanks, Adam. I want to show how we are using AI right now to solve some of these efficiencies with a demo. So why don't we jump in? Let me just quickly go through this. Okay, so I have an application that I prepared for this demo. It's about a motorcycle events application where users can register and see different events or programs available near to them. So this application is actually a code, and this is my GitHub repo where this code resides. I know I'm speaking a bit technical parts, but don't worry about it. I'm not going to use a lot of technicalities here. Just wanted to show that I am working and building on top of my actual code. All right, so now as designers, we want to improve experiences. We want to delight our customers. And so far, we would have to rely on engineering to push that, to add those changes. Now, this website is it's working, it's an actual application, but it's looking very bland. And I want to bring some character to it, add some interesting bits to it to improve the experience of users. So I have a Figma design here. This is the actual site. And what I did was I brainstormed some things and I came up, okay, I want to add some feel to it where people are going for a motorcycle tour ride and they are looking at the scenery just to get that feeling that people get from motorcycling. So I have this design here, which I'm going to use to update the live app. What I've done is I have connected my actual application in Fusion, which is a product to code on an existing application. But you can use other AI assisted coding tools to achieve the same or similar thing. One thing to note here is you can use, let's say, Cursor Fusion to do that, but what I'm showing is working on actual code. So if your AI application works on actual code, you should be able to do this. Okay, I am here. I've connected my repository to this Fusion, and I'm gonna create a new branch. Now, for people like me who are not technical, it took me a little time to understand what a branching means and what a PR means. So I'm just gonna give you a high level idea what's a branching it. Think of it like a duplicate of a design file or a design. Let's say you have a design system and you're working on design library. You would create a version, make edits, and then publish it live for the other teams to use it. It's something like similar. You are basically copying code, you're making changes, and when you're looking, okay, yeah, this is working perfectly, you're just merging or applying that changes to your live code. That's all basically about branching and then sending a PR. Okay, so now it's loaded in Fusion, and why I'm using it, it's I have personal preferences because again, as designers, we are used to working with visual layer, and Fusion provides me just that. It's like cursor and then combining Figma like editing capabilities on top of it, and then I can see everything in the live preview. Plus, I don't have to set up locally, which is I've never figured out how to set up a repository locally and run it. So I'm not very technical, and I'm gonna use this to work with it. But you guys can apply these same things across different tools. Okay, now I have design. I'm going back to Figma, and I want to bring this design to Builder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open Builder's Figma plugin. I've selected this design. I can see the preview. I'm just going to go to do Smart Export. What it does is it basically understands your design layers and everything and makes it usable in Fusion or Cursor. Now, I'm going to select this layer. This is my design tab. I'm going to select this and I'm going to move this to the layer I want to make changes to go back to generate. And I want to say, I want to update this section as per the designs, include the navigation bar in this section 2. And I'm going to paste this design here. So let's just let it paste here. Okay, now it has gotten my designs. It's coming from Figma. And now I'm going to say build. Now, the interesting bit that happens here is, as I said, this is working on my actual code. So anything that AI does, it's actually creating code. I can interact with the product, whatever it generates, I can again interact with it and I can continue building on top of it. So that's like building a copy of it, adding enhancements when you need as per your design needs. And then when you're ready, you can actually send it for a review. I'm just gonna wait and you can see it's already reading my code. It's understanding my components. If there are any, it's editing my code. So let's just wait for it to finish and see what it does. Okay, so the preview is updating on the right and it's changing. And you can see whatever the AI is doing, it's explaining what it's doing. So if anything that you feel it did incorrectly or you want it to take a different approach, you can just review it and then tell AI to take a different approach. It's here. So you can see my design. It just came in as I imported it, but there's something, the text that I use is slightly above. It's above my main characters that I wanted to show in this design to bring the connection for motorcyclists. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let it finish and then I am going to make some fine adjustments that I would use Figma to do for my designs. Okay. I also noticed a question about I'm using Haiku. So what I see is I can switch, since I'm on a pro account, I can switch between different chat LLM models. Sometimes when I work with code, I think Haiku works really fast. And when I don't have any complex changes that I need to do, I use a smaller model, but with good quality. When I'm going more towards creative work, I've tried using GPT. So depending on what my use case is, I keep switching and adding into it. So that's how I get better results across. Okay, now it's done. Now, but you can see that my content is right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to design mode, and you can immediately see something like Figma. What I'm going to do is select this section, and all the right panels show me editing capabilities that are available on Figma or similar to Figma. And now I want to move them over to the top. What I can do is I can select this. Okay, this. Yeah, I can quickly go to the inner alignment and I can move it over. Now it's still on top. I'm going to add some spacing on top. I think 48, no, 64. I think 80. And yeah, this looks nice, I think. Now what I can do is I can ask Figma, the AI, to apply these changes. So what it will do is it will take up what I did on the precise controls that I inputted, and it will take those and apply that to the code. So this is one of the favorite parts why I love Fusion over other AI tools, because I get this control and I don't describing endlessly, move this to the top, apply these changes. It's super tedious. And I'm so used to Figma. We have been using it so over the past so many years. Having that native control is super helpful. Let it finish it, and then we can see the changes. Again, you can look at it. It's thinking, and you can see what it's trying to do. It will read your code and then prepare a way to apply those changes.
Yeah, and to your point too, Sajal, you're doing this work here. You're then able to share that. You're then able to communicate with other teams about that, and then people like me or people like our engineering team can even go in and make the same, make different edits or add, interact and collaborate more on this as opposed to having it in one specific. Often Figma, not everybody has access to that, and so you're going through this whole thing of okay, let me get access to that, and constantly asking to edit things in Figma. And so this is a good way, at least internally, it's been extremely helpful for us to collaborate.
Yeah, definitely. It just brings everyone on the same tool, and we don't have to switch back and forth answers between different tools to collaborate. I'm also going to show how we actually collaborate on this on top of it, and also how we can use this prototype to get feedback from customers that we have been doing. Okay, so the AI is done now, and you can see whatever I did, and it's applied to this. And still, this app is pretty functional. Everything works. You can see the interactions which I've added. Now, what I want to do is I want to add some delight factor to this. And let's take this image. Now, people are traveling, they are going around some mountain area. And what if we can add some firefly effects, fireflies coming over on this image to make that feel a little more real? What I'm going to do is, so I have this library, you can see this effect, right? I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go back to Builder, select this, and ask it, I want to add the firefly effect. So this section, use this link as reference. I'm going to paste this link. Let's see what it does. Okay, I'm waiting for the AI to start on its task. Yeah, now it's also fetching and reading the link that I shared, which is super cool. I don't have to describe how it should work. It's automatically doing that for me. Sometimes it takes a bit of time, so we need to wait on this one. What I'm showing right now, I'm doing UI updates, but that's not just it we can do. We can also, what I've been doing at Builder is we are also using this to internally change flows, improve our product workflows. So if I'm just showing UI, you can extend this as to flows, editing, etc. I've also been using this to create experiments, test out with users. So this gives me a lot of flexibility on how I get to understand users and get their needs in place and interact with them without needing to worry about whether engineering has the bandwidth to try out this idea and get data on. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the Q&A and we'll be able to answer those if I have not answered them already while the demo is going on. Okay, I have a question here. Can I simply say homepage hero add this Firefly effect URL? I could, if I have all the things labeled out correctly, you can simply say yes, and then it should take that as reference. But usually what I've seen is more precise control is coming when I select the element which I'm talking about. Yep, the Firefly effects are here. You can see, and it's doing that without me needing to code. And now I can modify it as per my need if I want to increase the number of fireflies, and I can play around to see that effect. And when I am satisfied, okay, this is the perfect thing, then I can actually go ahead and to send it to my developers for review. Okay, it's still doing some of the things. In the meantime, maybe I can show you this. So whatever we were creating, the prototype that we were creating, now I don't have to deploy it to or put it out in production, make it live. I can simply share this prototype to anyone, whether it's Adam, whether it's other members of my PM team, design team, or whether it's an end customer that we want to get feedback from. And they can just directly go to this link and view this updated prototype. Okay, I think it's because AI is doing, okay, now it's there. Yeah, I can share this link and it will generate the preview for them to explore. I'm gonna run this prototype again. But that's how I think Adam and I usually go and have this conversation. Okay, hey, this is the changes we wanna make. If for some reason it's not working. And he can also, if that link is not there, he can also jump into this project and we can have the live collaboration here, put this prototype, explore it within this preview. And once I'm ready that, yeah, this looks nice, I can send it for developers to review. That's what basically a send PR button does. So when I click on this, all the changes that I did on this project is going to be sent to developers for review. Yep, and then it will generate a summary of all the changes so developers can actually see what I changed. And when they have any specific question why we need to do this, I can just go and answer. And this also puts out nice like what has actually changed in code. So it's easy for them to review any
Yeah,
code changes that's been done.
a couple of really important things to note on here. So when Sajal makes that PR, you'll see that AI automatically makes a title that's valid, and then it automatically makes the purpose and the code changes that are valid, telling the developers exactly what's changed. Another thing that we do internally is we film looms to show like actual what's changed on there, which is another possibility for you. What's really cool about this product as well is that you'll see it's said tag builder bot. I don't see it. Does it have it? I saw it earlier, like when you first
And
started doing it, but you'll see BuilderBot right here. Scroll down just a little bit, Sajal. Oh, yeah, there you go. You can tag me at BuilderBot. So with BuilderBot, if you notice some sort of error, you can just ask it to fix the error. If a check fails, and it'll go back through and it'll try to do whatever it can to fix either formatting issues. There's I don't want to get too technical, but the type issues and things like that. I know somebody did ask about, you can have it clean up your code. That is another thing you could do in this instance. You could ask BuilderBot to do some cleanup for you if you notice some things that are in there. You could also do that cleanup in the chat itself. So you could change the model. Just like Sajal showed, we have a variety of models you can use. So you could change that model and just ask for it to clean up the code for you or to double check things. As a PM, a lot of times I'll get into the code base and there are things I don't know about, maybe because I've taken on a legacy code base. I'm not sure how things work. I'll go ask it questions about the code base and you don't change anything. You're literally just asking it a question. And so it'll help explain why things work the way they do or limitations that might be in the code. And so it's also a good way for you to start understanding why things work the way they do. Sorry.
yeah, that's like one of the coolest thing. Even when I was building a feature recently, and I didn't have any clue whether if this exists or is there anything that I can borrow from our existing patterns, I just asked the AI to tell me what are the things that are available. So it will tell me you have all these data available to you, and based on this data, I can actually go and see, okay, this is the kind of experience that I can build. To give you an example, let's say I have a data which is coming from our API, which says who updated this change, and I have that data. So I can design this experience where I can show users control in a team setting. If somebody is changing something, I can show a tag, let's say, or a text, let's say, updated by XYZ person. So a lot of times when I also have the data that is coming from the API, it can also help me design, okay, I can also improve this experience with these small iterations. Okay, so this is the one here that's ready. Developers can go and review it. I'm gonna do something else. Now, you see the buttons here. I am using the button component. What I'm gonna do is I actually want to update these buttons to the ones, add some styling changes. I can actually do it in the editor itself, but for more complex components where you have more variety, you can just copy them from the Figma and just select. Let's say you can just say paste the Figma designs, and I want to say I want to update the button component as per this design, and I can just send it. Now, what it will do is it will take my component button, which I have in my code. It will take those designs and it will apply those changes to the button. Ideally, you would do it in a separate branch so that anything you have done previously isn't affected and you can get things live faster, because when you add everything in one go, there's a lot of code that a developer has to review, which takes time. So to increase the speed of shipping, we usually do it in separate PRs. And making any changes to design system, I generally use a separate branch to do that. You can see it's reading my component, it's understanding what's in there and what I've changed, and it's making those changes. Now, one of the coolest bit of it is earlier when I used to do a button change and I want to look at, okay, how does it look across different screens? I would have to mock it out. Here, I don't have to mock it out. I can just say update this and I can browse through the entire application and see how does my button look, or how does the change that I've applied to the design system looks. You can see it has changed this button. I only gave it an example of these, but since I've been using button component, the other buttons have also been changed. Even down here. Okay, I think this is not using button component, so you can just say, wait, where did it go? It's not coming up. Okay. I can directly say, can you also update the register as organizer button to the button from design system? So this should ideally replace the button that I was having here. I think it didn't, when I created it, I didn't use the component here. Now that I made this change and I can detect, okay, this is not adhering to the button, I can update this with AI without needing for me to create a ticket, go to a developer and asking them, hey, can you just make this small change for me? In the meanwhile, one thing that I really love is I showed you the firefly effect and taking designs to this live app. Usually it would take me a couple of days to create a ticket, get someone to design, create a ticket, get someone to work on it, and then share it with me so that I can see that effect live and test it out. Here, you just saw me doing that in 15, 20 minutes, the first part. And now I'm just trying to update the components. And whatever I'm doing right now, I don't have to worry about whether it will be the same as this in production because it's all code. So whatever I see here is going to get updated and be reflected in the production version as it is. Okay, it definitely takes a bit of time, but does a good job, so I'm fine with it. It doesn't take me a lot of, it helps me reduce a lot of meetings. And the only one that I need to go is take this prototype and discuss it. Okay, it didn't do this one. Can I select it? I can prompt it if there's any question. It is explaining what it changed, where it changed. The last section of organize events. Change that button to use the red button variant in component. I would usually use the actual name of the component, but right now I have not set it up perfectly here. So I don't remember the name exactly. I'm just calling it use that red button variant to make the change. But I think this is what I all wanted to show in this demo, how you can get designs from Figma to code. And now, once I have this, I usually use Figma mostly for brainstorming these days. And for some reason, I think Adam and we were discussing, there was a small change I did there on the credits page, and it's like, okay, can you go and do it in Fusion directly, Adam?
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest things as a PM. There's so many things that just sit in the backlog, and I know as a designer too, there might be things you've done in the past that they didn't quite get into production the way you wanted it done, but it might be that taking the dev time is just isn't there for whatever reason to make that right. I know that Sajal, I think you've cleaned up a few things like that that they just needed that like last little bit of touch, and you're able to go in, take care of it, and then we get merged in, and it instantly improves the product.
Yeah, super cool. I think we can wait for it to finish, but other than that, we are done with the demo, and we can probably take questions.
Yeah, I think there's a handful of things. I know that one that keeps coming up around is around design systems. Do you have anything specifically for that, Sajal, like how you recommend importing a design system or managing that over time?
One thing I've done is I have created them in Figma, and usually what I would do is if I already have a component, I would just make it apply changes. And then when I see different states, I prototype it. And then I take those description and add to my design file so that it's know, okay, what's the change? And then I usually go and clean up my mocks if needed. Other times I just ask it, okay, can you show me? Sometimes I just generate a page and just show me, okay, what are the components available if I need to. Other times, if there are no components that I want to add, or if I want to add a new component, what I do is I'll go and ask Fusion to create those component for me using our best practices, which developers can set up maybe in your custom instruction, how you want it to set up. And it will use those instructions to create those new component. And then you can always have devs verify it and approve it. I hope that answers the question, like how do I manage design tokens? And components updates.
Yeah, and I answered this
All
in
right.
another question. We do have something for our enterprise users that we call design system intelligence. With design system intelligence, you're able to index your components, you're able to index your design system, design tokens, those kinds of things. So when you're pulling things in from Figma, anything that you would pull in it's gonna use that design system intelligence as context coming into this Fusion product and recognize that and then create those components just like you have them in Figma, use the same design tokens, all those things again, because the important thing to remember for all users of Fusion, whether or not you're enterprise or whether you're enterprise or not, the code base is context. If you have design tokens that you're already using, if you have a design system you're already using in there, it should also recognize that. Not the saying that when you pulled it over, it should pick up on that and use the things appropriately. That's the benefit of having this. But yeah, so that's one thing I recommend. Similarly, I did see, yeah, or go ahead, Sajal. I don't know if there's other questions in there that you want to take on.
Okay, that is the one question when I input really big prompts, like 100 or 120 lines. It doesn't process it that well. And is there a specific way to give prompts or something like that? Yes, so the one thing that I really would use is how developers actually code. So when you work with developers, you will realize that they do everything very iteratively. They'll make one change, commit it, fix it, and then they will iterate on top of it. So that's how I do it. If you, for example, if you want to create an application from scratch, or if you want to create a new functionality from scratch, what I usually do is I borrow the front end first and then take one element at a time or one functionality at a time and then ask it to make it work and then add more functionality or complexity to it once I'm sure that it's working as per my expectation. So that's one thing I have learned that when you're working with LLMs, only give them the amount of context that they can do one job perfectly. If we give LLMs a lot of context, sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes it doesn't work as the way we like it. So that's one of my takeaways from working with AI anywhere, whether it's Fusion, whether it's Cursor, or even your ChatGPT or Anthropic Cloud, anything. Okay, can Builder.io help in designing plugins which have a whole design in it? I think we don't have the functionality to preview the plugins because it resides in Figma, but we can code it. Are you aware about it?
You need to ask that question again. Sorry. I was answering a
So the
bunch of other
question is,
questions.
okay, sorry. Can Builder.io help in designing plugins which have a whole design in it?
Oh, I guess the question there is what kind of plugin are we talking about?
Yeah, I assume Figma plugin, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, really, you can hook up whatever code base that you want to Fusion and you can start prompting it. I did see somebody ask a question earlier about connecting a backend database or a backend repo to it. While I think that's possible, it might not be the best experience. Again, looking at Fusion, you see it's meant to be like a visual IDE. So you do have the backend, the data that's there. We want you to be using your data, but at the end of the day, that's going to be pulled in through into websites and applications and stuff that end users are using. There could be ways that you create some sort of data visualization that lives in there. And so yeah, it's possible. Same thing's true. It doesn't just have to be for applications and websites. You could use it for things like plugins or things like other kind of repos that you might have. Technically, you could use it for API development, even if you're doing like Node Express and things like that. Not just saying it does that, it does a handful of other things as well. But yeah.
Uh, there's one more question. Do you point this to your GitHub or just your development folder on your local system dev environment? And it will navigate through the project to understand the overall context.
Yeah, you can do both. If you're using the cloud-based, like the web-based one, you're going to be using the repo that's actually on GitHub. We support a handful of other providers, but outside of GitHub. If you want to do local development, we also have a VS Code plugin or VS Code extension that you can use to do local development. I use it quite a bit actually. And then we have a Builder desktop version as well that you can limit to your local environment.
Yeah, I'm mostly not using a local desktop version, although I have the ability, but it's easy to just run it in the cloud. and not worry about all the setup efforts that are gonna be there for me. Okay,
Are there any, let's see, other ones? Let's see.
do you see any other questions that we haven't answered?
Don't see any right now. Any hygiene you have to maintain while using Builder, not any more than you would normally. If there is a runtime error or something that fails, Builder will or Fusion will recognize that and you can fix it just like you can with anything else. That's just going to be up to your development team and or up to however you work. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If I prototype in Figma, is this translated across in Builder like screens connected? Right now, so if I understand correctly, the question is, can you bring a prototype from Figma and ask AI system to build an application out of it? I'm not sure I have tried that one, so probably not so far because I don't want to go into Figma and then connect all the things quickly. I just like to collect prototype directly in Fusion or AI tools.
Yeah, one more question and then we'll wrap up because I know we're right at time. So, the question is, once you've indexed, can you still deviate from the design system to explore and make changes? I'm assuming it's just a starting point, but you can still iterate on top of it. Yes, so there are guardrails. We try to provide you with as many guardrails as you want because we do have enterprises we work with and lots of other customers we work with that want those guardrails. We also are, you can have as much flexibility as you want. So you can just use that as a starting point. You can prompt it to do whatever you want in there. And then again, because it's all branch based, the really nice thing, and Sajal showed you this in the demo, you can iterate as much as you want to or as little as you want to, preferably more. I create branches all the time. I create ideas all the time, running them by my team, and they don't hurt anything. They're not going to be released to prod. There's no worry about just creating a new branch and working on it and iterating it and playing around with it. If you want to turn
Yeah.
something you've created in Fusion into a new component for Figma design system, that is still, don't believe that's possible right now, and I believe that's a limitation. So we have the ability from Figma because the way their system is built to go from Figma into Builder or from Figma to other products that you might have seen out in the marketplace. But the ability to go from those things back into Figma is still a limitation, I believe, on Figma's side.
Got it. I think we have answered almost all
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
So
So
I
if you want
just
to go to the
want
last
to,
slide, you want to go to the last slide and
yeah.
then we'll close it out.
Yeah. Before this, that I just want to tell you one thing that where it's super helpful is it doesn't make me design faster. It's basically I remember this quote from my manager back during internship. It's as you grow up, your like majority of your time it goes into aligning everyone to your design, and the design part takes less of your time now. What AI does is it speeds up the alignment process. It cuts a lot of friction in between into this small place where you can control what the experience looks like and then align everyone on top of it. That's how you make designs faster and designs go to production faster.